open data and this notion of sharing publicly available information is nothing new, right, to government. We have PRA requests. We have all kinds of wonderful things like that where we share content, we share information with the general public. But a couple of years ago, the Department of Technology and more specifically GovOps had spearheaded an effort to have a look at what open data might mean for the state of California and building a platform around that, a program, and then ultimately developing a culture around information sharing in the state. So as GovOps kicked off this initiative and started working with different departments, Department of Technology came on as the technology partner to help support what the build out of that platform might look like and some of the rules of engagement around that from a technology perspective. And what the web presence would be for open data in California. So as we kind of progressed through this process of developing this program, we had a couple of really sort of watershed moments that occurred. One in particular was something called the GreenGov Challenge. Are you guys familiar with what happened at the GreenGov Challenge? Tom, you were there. No? Okay. So the GreenGov Challenge was a code-a-thon, which kind of sounds kind of funny to me. Like, you're going to sponsor me for 10 cents for a line of code. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like jogathons or walkathons as a kid. But really what it was to bring together civic-minded coders, right, to come together around a specific issue or problem using publicly available information that comes from various departments, agencies, boards, and commissions throughout the state to solve that problem through technology. So it was a 2-day-long event. It happened in late October of last year, and in 2 days, we received 14 applications that were developed to solve specific issues or problems around sustainability, which was kind of mind-blowing because, truth be told, a lot of us, and I think even including Linda in the back who's from GovOps, really didn't know what we were going to get at the end. We thought maybe some graphs, maybe some charts. That's fine. They're visualizations. But these were full-blown applications. Now, granted, they weren't production ready. They weren't tested. You only had 2 days to do it. But they were the seeds of development that spurred on some kind of interesting interactions that began to occur. So there were 3 winners. They were awarded a cash prize. 2 of the 3 winners are slated to be built into production-ready systems by our group. We're taking on what was originally developed in that code-a-thon, and we're going to build upon that and make them production-level applications for DGS. The reason I bring all that up is that there's a tremendous power in sharing of public information because we don't know how it'll be used, and when it's mashed together with other kinds of information, the results can be kind of staggering and interesting. And who knows what we can do in terms of innovation and efficiency in government by having this platform available. So after that, we began to reach out to other departments and build this culture around sharing data. And there's several folks that have come on board that are interested in working with us. But it really, at the end of the day, it started begging the question, well, what does this platform look like, right? What are we going to be doing? So one of the things that we had done long ago was we set up I'll bring it up here, a pilot project with a company called Socrata. Have any of you heard of Socrata before? So Socrata is an open data software as a service company that provides a platform that's obviously delivered via the web. Let's see if this will come up. Sorry, the network's a bit dodgy here. Right. So this was our pilot platform. And within it, we were able to allow different partners throughout the state to post information in various categories, curate that data, manage it, document it with metadata, some metadata standards we established with the working group prior to having this come up were employed here. But, you know, one thing to me, truthfully, that was missing is this ability for us to look at how we then embed some of these capabilities, right? So it's one thing for us to say, hey, great, we put data up in the cloud, spreadsheets in the cloud, whoop-de-doo. Like, I mean, that's done all the time. Eric kind of demonstrated that right now. In fact, you know, to some, they might consider that an open data platform. But why are we doing it? And I think one of the purposes of why we're doing this is to begin to make more data-driven decision-making based on the availability of information, but also the interpretation of that information. What's the story we're trying to tell about the data? Because I think that's vitally important. I mean, imagine you take a spreadsheet and you put that in front of one person. They might say, well, you know, let's say they're not technically sort of astute and you know, don't come from sort of an IT background. They're going to think, well, what in the world is this? But if you put a graph in front of them, or a chart, or a story describing the information, then it starts to become meaningful. So one of the lessons learned out of doing this pilot with Socrata around the GreenGov Challenge is that it was one thing to put this information up, but we need to take it a step further to really find the value in the information. So our next steps for this, I can share, is that this pilot with Socrata is going to be ending in the September timeframe. We learned a lot, but we've decided to go an open source route. And we did that because we want to be able to get under the hood. We want to be able to start programming this, developing it, making it fit into the state's template, making it fit sort of the look, feel, and experience of CA.gov, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment. Because this was great, but it was more of a closed system, and we couldn't do a lot with it, truthfully. It had a lot of features and functionalities that were great, but we need to own the message a lot more, and going an open source direction is a much more viable way for us to move forward. So with that, I think it's a good segue for us to jump into, I'm trying to find CA.gov here, jump into CA.gov. Now, we're really excited about this. This was released, about a month ago, in a few days. This was a 180-day effort. Now, you guys remember the old site, right? This is a big list of links. It was old school. You know, it just wasn't modern. The experience, you know, wasn't quite where we wanted it to be for many reasons. One of the notions here was a few clicks to information, right? More services driven, more a portal driven application and experience versus a list of links. And then good luck, right? I mean, that's not public service. So we kicked off a pretty ambitious effort to start to organize our information and present our information in ways that are more intuitive and user-friendly. And also thinking about these things, right? Mobile phones, we all have them, right? This is the new computing paradigm. We needed to build with mobile in mind. So with that, we took a lot of these requirements together and began to construct what our vision would be for this portal. Now, I want to stress one thing that's a bit of a shift in thinking around CA.gov as it was before and CA.gov where it is now. This is a communications platform. That's, truth be told, that's the way we're looking at this. This is not just a static web page. This is dynamic content. It's very much content driven, and it's very much driven around answering quick, succinct, answering quickly and having succinct messaging available. So, for example, it's built around this notion of services. So within the state, Michael, there's how many services? We had just the whole inventory, there was hundreds, correct? Hundreds. Hundreds of services that your departments and other departments provide, whether that's like how to find a marriage license or where to register my vehicle, or how do I find college or funding for college. So we wanted to take that tone and be able to construct the portal around that. And secondarily, we wanted to be able to have areas within the site that are quick and informative, sort of like advertisements, things that would drive content that's relevant based on statistics, based on the analytics going forward on the site, and keep this content fresh, right? So you'll notice when we launched this site, we had the Amgen tour up, right? Well, that's no longer there. Now we have things that are certainly more relevant. This was an announcement, a proclamation rather, from Governor Brown related to Pride Month. We also have things that are more, I'd say, more specific to the seasons, right? Camping. Well, you want to go camping? We're going to promote state parks and where you can go and find camping locations. This other area here is an area where we want to begin to plumb in open data. And there's a reason why I wanted to present open data first. So here we're talking about California climate change. I mean, it's something that's certainly impacting all of California and the world. But this is a very, very data-centric, data-driven section within CA.gov, and it's a natural fit for marrying up open data and the concept of publicly available information and telling the story of that information in an area within a platform like CA.gov. So it's not constructed right now. This jumps off to a climate change website that was developed for climate change information for the administration. But soon you're going to start seeing, perhaps on a quarterly or every 2 to 3 month basis, this section change based on topics that are of interest to the state that are hot topics right now. I could think of one, maybe for example, like Zika virus, right? We have lots and lots of data and metrics around Zika. Yeah, we have lots of information around vulnerable communities. That's all open data. But let's tell the story. So the idea would be that we have a short introduction here. Click on the button that then launches you to an open data story. That open data story will have images, text, graphs, charts, maps that illustrate the story we're trying to tell. And then, oh, by the way, you can take those graphs, charts, and maps, embed them in your own web page. So the idea behind this is that content is easily shareable and transferable between various platforms. That's one of the beauties of open data. That's one of the beauties of CA.gov, is that we're using it as a platform to drive that kind of content forward. Down here, we have some simple sort of qualitative measures. This section will be dedicated to things like quick glance metrics, numbers, charts. I mean, imagine thinking about the primaries and voting and who voted and who didn't vote. Where are they voting? Telling the story. That's what this section is going to be doing for us. Moving forward, that's one of the major strategies. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through a little bit of the features and functionality, and then I'm going to lean on tour guide Art to help me where I miss things, because Art had a very prominent role, as well as Michael and many others, in building out the site. But I want to start up here. This goes back to the experience of CA.gov. So you'll notice that we've probably all seen this, right? This is the Sacramento River. There's downtown Sacramento in the background. But we wanted to get away from the notion that this is just a Sacramento-centric site. Well, what if I live in Orange County, or what if I lived in San Diego? Well, I want content, I want imagery, I want those things driven to me. At Sacramento, I've never even visited. Who cares? I don't care about the river, the boat. But what if we wanted to change that? So you have the ability to come in here and then change how you want the site to look. So let me come in here and I'll put in, let's see. Oh, come on. So Art grew up in 90210. So we'll update the location. That's an old TV show for some of your older folks. Beverly Hills 90210? No? Anyone? Okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. So the site should refresh and then provide us, oh, come on now. Don't you love demos? Come on. What, Art? Okay. All right. I'm doing something wrong. This is why Art's here. Anyway, the imagery would then change. Okay, the imagery, the whole background image would change. It would be an image of, I think we have a beach and some beach houses. So we took regions of the state and ascribed imagery around that so that it would change the experience for the user just visually. Now, when the user comes in and they want to look at finding services, that same location persists so that, let me find vehicle registration. That same location would persist and would help me understand where some of those locations are near me. Like if I wanted to register a vehicle, so I put in, 90210, I'm going to be driven content and locations based on the region itself. I'm not going to get DMV locations in Sacramento. I'm going to get them, down in Southern California. And that goes for a number of these services where locations are made available, right? So you see here, DMV. You can then click on this. The map will zoom to it. I can get directions, and it'll launch me off to Google Maps, so on and so forth. So this is our first cut. This is our first version at this. Some future enhancements that are going to be coming are we're going to see a lot more services and service tiles being made available. Let me go back to the home page. Okay, there's Beverly Hills. All right. Well, sort of. It's the beach, but it's in the region. As you see some of these tiles down here, these are going to start to cycle out based on what's relevant and based on some of the analytics and statistics that are being received back. As Michael had mentioned earlier that there was over 400 plus services. We're going to begin to build these things out and make them available based on what's relevant and what's bubbling up to the top. Yeah, Tom.
How do you get services added to this list?
Services added to this list. Michael, do you have any? Michael's been our services guy. Art, Art's leaving. Yeah.
At this time, the main method during this time to add services would be to contact us. Everyone in the Webmaster User Group has our contact email. You can send us the information that you would like added, and we can help you with that. Okay. Meanwhile,
so say, for example, we're launching this program called California Made. It's for businesses certified to that whatever they're making, it's made in California. Yeah. And they're going to have a marketing push and all that stuff. So if we put this on here, do you guys, make the imagery, or do we provide a logo, or
well, you certainly can
make a picture of you guys leaving a basket, or
I will Photoshop your face into that. That's all right. No. So part of the idea, and Michael reminded me to mention something, is this isn't just our site. It's your site. There are some tools and capabilities in here.
You guys would make that's us. We're an image pour over in our office.
Yeah.
We would love to have you guys get the images.
Sure, and we can.
In certain situations.
Yeah, right. So there's certain guidelines and requirements we'll have around imagery, but by all means, if you don't have imagery, we have access to a vast library of images that can fit sort of the mold of the service that you want to offer. But for GoBiz in particular, just contact us, give us a description, give us the logo, and then we'll bounce a couple of iterations of designs to you and see what sticks, see what you guys like, and then we can highlight it. There's something else, though, Tom, that we could do that might make sense is kind of in these sections here, there's dedicated areas, if this is something that, governor's office is interested in highlighting, from a economic development business sort of perspective, you have some latitude to be able to use sections within the site to do that. One caveat I will put here is that this is California's website. We're not interested in putting up national sort of campaigns. This is clearly for California, and I think it might, I think it should fit that role. Linda, would you agree with that? We can certainly talk about that and look at that, but.
Yeah, I think it's important, we want more information and stuff, so send it to us, and yeah, for this part, we just need to see, where state government
Yeah.
does, right? So we just have to be careful about voting something or advocacy. So for instance, before primary, we can put up a link for the, how to go find your polling place,
Right.
and registration, more than, without advocating.
Yeah.
You have to walk that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Good.
remember that.
Yeah, I figured you were. I figured you were. But by all means, if there are services that organizations represented here or online that you want to have as part of this services catalog,
And I would just
work with us.
to emphasize on
Yeah.
that point, this is not perfect, right? And we
Yeah.
recognize that, and so we really want, the more eyes that we have on this, and the more people looking at it and telling us, hey, you missed this, or,
Yeah.
This isn't accurate, the better it's going to be, and the better it's going to be for everyone.
Right.
So, I really encourage everyone to just kind of poke around, look at what your department has on their agency, what is it missing, what do you think it needs, and then there's an email address that Scott can give you that you can send all that to, or send it to Scott or myself, and really we'll take a look at it and we'll talk to you about it. We just want to make this as robust as possible.
Yep.
And we can only do that with your help.
Yeah.
Might have to repeat that for the.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. So the one of the comments from the back that's important that I want to reiterate is that we want as many eyes as possible on the site, right? This is a first cut, and it's going to continually be improving. It's in my opinion, I don't think it's ever going to be done, and that's kind of a scary thing to say. But we always want to improve. We always want to enhance it, and it's important for this community, for the webmaster community, to have your expertise engaged in this, and providing feedback, because we want to solicit your feedback. We want to have co-ownership in this with you. So by all means, please open channels. There's a contact us section here. You can always come to me after this, and I'll provide all my contact information as well, so we can continue feedback loops on this. Moving it forward. Okay. Art, did I miss anything in terms of functionality and features? I just want to do this thing true justice. Yeah, quick question.
What's actually running at your location? Your technology?
So the technology running that is a GeoIP. It's picking up basically. Actually, let me take that back. There's two. One is using GeoIP, so it's taking your IP address of your computer if you allow it to do that, and then it ascribes a location. Oftentimes, like if you do it here, it's kind of funny. It puts us actually across the freeway. I don't know if that's where a switch is located, or I don't know. Who knows? Or it runs a geocoding engine that is provided sort of behind the scenes to take your zip code currently, and from that zip code, it takes that and then finds the image catalog that associates with that zip code, and then pushes that content to you. Yeah. I think I'm going to have Art come up and.
I could just stand next to you.
Yeah.
And mention.
Yeah. Why don't we do that? I want to make sure I do this complete justice.
Scott touched up on most of the points. I just wanted to kind of outline. So as you know, we haven't participated in Best of Web in several years. The portal's kind of become a little stale, and so Linda GovOps kind of spearheaded and sponsored this whole effort to sort of re-envision what the portal can do. And so I wanted to let you guys know what the goal of that was, and that's to build a state of California portal that engages users with relevant and effective information and services accessible to anyone, anywhere, anytime. So that's kind of like the underlying vision, if you will, for the portal. So it's really the main key feature of it is it's service oriented, right? That's probably the best way we can be more relevant to the public, right? So the other thing is that it's using underlying technology of CMS technology, which is Sitecore. You guys, some of you may have heard of this platform. And so this is a very involved and complicated platform, but it gives us lots of power and possibilities. And so actually most of the portal here, if you actually go to like doing business or something, all the content that you see there, if you were just to click on doing business, for example, Scott.
Okay, sir.
And each of these categories is actually dynamically generated. So, for example, the related services, right? They are actually all services that belong to different agencies, right? And so what you see there is actually dynamically rendered on the page using a searching index. And so what happens is these services belong to agencies that have their own profiles, but they're actually dynamically loaded onto this page because they've been tagged with having something to do with doing business, right? And so as you scroll down, you see like the top featured services, you're looking at data. So for example, if you have an agency profile page and you have added different metrics, you're trying to tell a story with your data, that's actually showing up here automatically, right? And so this is the only way we can keep information fresh. Whereas the old paradigm is somebody would have had to do the research, get a hold of different state agencies and entities and say, what's your story? What are you doing? Here, we're actually turning the portal over to you and saying, what's important to you? Provide that information, partner with us, and then this information will be highlighted and displayed in a dynamic manner. So when you visit these categories and these pages, these things will actually switch out, and they're not going to stay the same all the time. So if you were to scroll down, or go to a different section, doesn't really matter, but we actually have only a handful of static pages, if you will, on the portal. 90% of this is just dynamically generated based on location, based on what you're searching for. If you were to scroll down, Scott, so related agencies, right? Looking for agencies much easier now. Before we just used to have a list, alphabetical and all that. But now if you click on state agencies, up on the very top, you can actually search, right? You have filters, you can open those up next to the search. And so, you want to look, like what's an agency here? Do you guys want to?
Board equalization.
Huh?
Board equalization.
Board equalization. Okay, so if you do BOE or maybe type it out, I'm not sure if it'll. It should work with an acronym as well, but.
How'd the caps lock?
Oh.
Let me try BOE.
Yeah.
I'm sure I spelled this thing wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then go ahead and click on you had it, agency profile. So each state entity has its own profile page. Here, you have the ability to communicate to the public, provide what top services, display what top services you provide. If you, I think we haven't shown, if you click on the plus icon of a service, it shows you like a little bit of information. You can actually go directly to the service from here. If you scroll down on the page, top frequently asked questions, right? Related links. So a lot of this information is just provided dynamically, and so just kind of want to drive that point that to stay fresh, we've had to completely rethink how the portal is how the strategy of it. So obviously other features include just the fact that it's responsive, it's accessible, and so I'm not sure what else we haven't covered, but
I think I think that's pretty much
I think
it.
the biggest point is like, we want to partner with you guys to make this relevant to our constituents. You know, that's kind of
Right.
like the biggest point.
Right. Yeah, good. Thank you, Art.
Mm-hmm.
Should have Art do this.
There's some questions from online that Art might be able to answer.
Oh, sure.
About the template.
Yes, so, one of the questions online is, when is the template of this portal going to be available? So, the pattern that we followed is the portal is sort of like our flagship, right? It's the one that's gonna test the uncharted waters, right? It's gonna, be the first one to adopt any kind of new technology, or strategy, and so usually in the past, it's been between a year or 2 years of where the actual state template would catch up with the portal. We're hoping it'll be quicker than that. However, we do plan to release an update to the existing state template, a patch. And this patch, our goal is going to be to create a very similar look and feel. So it'll be like a natural step towards version 5 of the template, if you will. And you'll get a lot of the same look and feel that the portal now embodies. So it'll get you halfway there, if you will. And so that way you're not waiting for a year or two without an update. Also, what this update will help us do is truly test the fact that our promise has been that once you move to version 4 of the state template, any migration path forward should be much more seamless, right? So this will be a true test of, okay, here's the new files, download them, and you shouldn't have to do anything to your website. So this will be a nice test for that as well, because that's been our promise. And so, yeah, look for a patch. It should be sometime this year. I'm not gonna say any dates, but we're definitely getting, so that's something we're working on. So look forward for more news on that respect. But you won't have to wait for a couple of years until you hear something from us. There'll definitely be progress made. Is there any other
Basically,
questions?
it's format, nothing like the web template, there, rules, what the rest of it, basically the pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, there's another comment saying that there's a visual discrepancy between this and where the current state template is. And once again, we're going to address that in the next batch. So we'll get the existing version of the state template to look as close to this as possible in the meantime.
You pulled up a specific agency.
Yeah.
Should we be monitoring? I mean, how is that tied to our information? Let's say we update some information you're displaying up there. Is it?
So this is, you're talking to our goal that we have in the future, in the near future, I guess. I can't say any dates or timeframes, but essentially the idea, because we're using CMS platform, the idea is that we're going to hand each one of you a set of keys, right, to your agency profile page, and in the future you'll be able to own that and own the information that's there. But furthermore, you'll be able to do is whatever you publish and feature on your agency profile or whatever services you have, you'll actually be able to embed that on your website, even if you're not on the same platform or on the CA web service, for example. You'll be able to actually have that content there as well. So we're going to give you, and this ties back to that vision of you own the portal. It's not just a select group of people. The portal is everybody's here, the whole web community. And so that engagement is going to be is going to ramp up, but we're not there yet. So for now, please go check out your agency profile, look at the information there, and get a hold of Michael or us or our team and let us know how that information can be more relevant.
So when we reach out to you, is there a system where we would put a request in, or we just email you?
Just email either that email that was provided on the contact page, or you can email the e-services email, which would be Michael Chan, and just let us know. However, it doesn't really matter.
Wait, second question. Do you have a style guide that you use to make sure that everything through the system and consistent, because I noticed a couple of style issues, like from the main page to like the agency page. Do you guys have a style guide, or are you creating one for the?
Yeah, we're actually creating one, so like Scott mentioned, this was a 180-day effort, very compressed. We've tried to account for most of those issues, but obviously we want your feedback, so if you guys see something or some things that are amiss or some recommendations you have, once again, please get a hold of us, let us know. Because as we're working on this, we're actually building out the next version of the state template, and so it's a work in progress.
Right. And any other comments in terms of the web address, or not web address, email address that you can reach out to us is just comments@state.ca.gov. You know, if you see anything in terms of some gotchas, some style guide things, accessibility,
Notice.
yeah, let us know, and we'll come back and move this forward. So we have. Did you get that question?
Yeah, so we have one more question.
Yeah.
What CMS platform, Sitecore?
Yeah, we're using Sitecore. We're at version 8 currently. We're going to hold steady there. We've had a lot of success with that, and we're going to continue to build on it. And I want to allude also to something that Art said, looking at getting organizations' input, not only owning their portion of the portal, but also the messaging around that. We're looking at doing that into our phase 2. We just wrapped up phase 1. We're waiting for feedback related to Best of Web competition. From that, we identified during the development cycle of putting this out a number of items that we placed sort of outside of our phase 1 implementation of this. Phase 2 will definitely include how we then integrate the community, integrate you know, folks having, as Art said, the keys sort of to the car. We're looking forward to that. But I think when we do that, we're really going to need feedback here, definitely. I think there's governance, there's rules of engagement on how we want to do that. There's obviously the style guide aspect to this. So we're really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a major shift on how we maintain the state's flagship web presence, and how everyone else will have a piece of that message. So, very good, great. Are there any other questions? No? Okay. Anybody online?
No additional questions at this time?
Okay, great. All right.